Hello all. Well, what I want to talk to you today about is the way that the convicted felon who's in the White House here in the U.S., how he's destroying the U.S. safety net on all levels so that he can use the money that he saves from destroying the safety net to give billionaires tax cuts. That's all this is about. One agency I want to talk about, a couple of them. One was the EPA and the other one's the VA. Let's talk about the EPA, and I know a lot of people can't stand the EPA because they don't like how the EPA keeps getting cut because the corporations buy the politicians and ask the politicians to cut back on the EPA, so the EPA can't really do much. They still do a little bit, but not a whole lot. But here's a little bit of a history on the EPA. 1,500,000 tons less toxic air pollution yearly. That's what the EPA came up with. So from 1990 to 2019, lung cancer was down 59% in the U.S. purely for the EPA cutting pollution. That's one big, huge factor. Can you imagine? Lung cancer is down 59% because of the EPA and what it's done for the U.S. population. So on day one, Trump said he would gut the EPA so that corporations can pollute as much as they want. They can dump their funky water into the rivers and the lakes and the oceans, pump polluted and dirty, filthy, toxic air into our air so that we can breathe it. And we can have, once again, like we did in the 60s and 70s, brown air, and people come down with more lung cancer. So why is it so important to get as many pollution control agencies out there? Because of what's happening to our biosphere. According to the WMO, they found in the past 10 years have been the hottest on record, and it's just getting hotter. So 2025 is becoming the hottest year in 175 years of record keeping here in the U.S. Scientists are warning the world that major glaciers won't survive this century. The world glaciers are melting at an accelerated rate around the world. And there's so many problems with this. You say, well, who cares about glaciers? Well, many towns and cities around the world depend on the meltwater from these glaciers. And once they're gone, they're gone. And there's no way they're going to have to replace the missing water, either from trucking it in, which causes more pollution, or they're just going to have to move the cities to a wetter area. Many places around the world are becoming drier and drier, and then they get these reverse boomerang effect where it becomes very wet for 1 year or 2 years, and there's lots of flooding. And then they go back into drought. Many droughts are happening, especially down in South America, here in the U.S., and some parts of Canada, to just mention a few around the world that are having severe droughts. The Panama Canal is having such a problem with the droughts that some of the ships are dragging on the bottom of the canal. They used to put 37 to 35 ships per day through the canal. Now there's only 10 ships per day because of the problem with not enough water to fill the canals, and the lakes where the water comes from are getting lower and lower and lower, and the ships that go through the canal and up through the lakes are having trouble because they keep hitting the bottom. So that's another problem of why it's so important to have environmental agencies around the world do their thing without corporate interference. It's so important. Now let's throw a little politics in here, as we always do. President Musk here in the U.S. is having severe blowback from his car company, because that's all the people know what to do, how to protest President Musk, is to go after his Tesla car company. Many protests around the world, in fact, are at the Tesla car companies. Now, Trump says that if you boycott buying a Tesla, that you are a terrorist here in the U.S. Are you going to buy a Tesla? Are you going to be forced into buying a Tesla because you don't want to be called a terrorist? They say that if you're caught protesting at a Tesla dealership, you could be prosecuted and sent out of our country. Oh, really? I don't think that's going to go over too well. What do you think? If you are pissed off as I am, you'll do something. You'll get into a protest, you'll make a video, you'll put up a sign, do something to show the world that we're not going to put up with it. He wants to invade Canada, Greenland, and Panama, and now he's talking about sending B-2s to Iran to bomb them to get the attention off of the latest scandal of the Trump administration. There's always a scandal in the Trump administration. That's the way he works. That's the way he's always worked. His whole life has been one big scandal after another. He doesn't play the game by the rules that the rest of us follow. So that's going to be it for today. Busy day today. I just wanted to get some of the latest news on the environment. And don't forget to boycott Orange Felon's presidency whenever you can, because even the VA is being cut. They're cutting cancer care for veterans and the research that's going on in the Veterans Administration to try and cure some of the military's worst cancers. But Trump cut it so that he can get tax cuts for the billionaires.